It's time to see which light novels are going to be making your wallet weep in the month of August of 2018. Hello everybody, and welcome to this video where I'm going to be taking a look at all the light novels coming out in the month of August 2018. Now, if you're brand new to the channel, I focus on light novels here. I do this type of a video, plus I do weekly countdowns of the top 10 in Japan, as well as doing light novel reviews. So if you love light novels, you should subscribe. I'm really happy actually today because I'm doing this video where I'm going to be talking about all of the light novels that are going to be coming out in August, and I am here wearing my Shiori t-shirt. This is of course the mascot of the channel, and the shirt is "Read More Light Novels." I think it's pretty good advice, all things considered, especially when there are like close to, if not 30 titles coming out in the month of August, and that's probably not even the biggest release month that we're going to see before the end of this year. Now, I'm doing things a little bit differently in this video. Usually what I've done is I've gone through all the titles at the very beginning, and then I have read the blurbs for all of the volumes in the second half so you could avoid spoilers. Here's the thing. This is getting really long and kind of tedious because there's 30 friggin' light novels coming out. And it takes me forever to record, edit, and all that kind of jazz, and honestly, I don't think really a lot of you are watching the blurbs in the later half of the video. So what I'm going to do is just go through all the titles, any brand new volume number ones. I'll read the blurb for those because A, they won't have spoilers, and B, they're probably titles I don't know much about because they're brand new. And as always, what I'm going to do is in the description down below, I've got all the titles listed as well as all the release dates, and I've got links to Amazon or the book depository. So if you want to check out a specific blurb, you can just click on that old link and read it for yourself. So saves me ripping up my vocal cords and saves you guys being bored to tears with me just reading crap. So with that said, there are a ton of titles, like I said, so let's get right into it. Starting up on August 5th, we actually are starting the month off with a brand new title, this one from JNovel Club, and that is volume number 1 of Lazy Dungeon Master. Come on, kill all those bandits for me already. No thanks, I don't want to do any work. My name is Keima Masuda, and my hobby is spending each day doing exactly nothing. But one fateful night, I was summoned to another world where I met a blonde young girl who I named Rokuko. It seemed that fortune had favored me, and I would soon be living a wonderful life free of work. But even though I'm a guy who loves sleeping more than eating, Rokuko demanded that I help her. Save my dungeon. By the way, since you're the dungeon master, you'll die too if the dungeon core is destroyed. The dungeon only had one room, and it was already surrounded by bandits. Seriously? It's a checkmate already. I've got to break out of this impossible situation so I can stop working and just sleep. Now, this one I'm guessing is going to be a isekai harem type story because the dungeon core, the girl that he names Rokuko, of course, is this cute lolly blonde girl, and judging by the covers of later volumes, there's far more cute girls to come. I'm kind of interested though. I mean, I don't know how it's going to fly with the whole I'm lazy and just want to sleep and not do any work, but I am kind of interested to see how the whole dungeon management thing will go. I recently read Strongest Gamer from Soul Press, and I liked how that book sort of incorporated the whole idea of resource management and how to grow. In that case, it was a labyrinth and everything else. So I'm kind of hoping that that element gets incorporated into this one and that it's not just pure slacker harem fantasy. So we'll see. I'm sure this one has already been up on JNovel Club. If you've already read a bit of it, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, but try to keep it as spoiler free as possible because I'll probably be picking this one up at the beginning of August. On August 7th, we're getting a couple of books being released by 7Seas. The first one is going to be volume number 3 of Arifureta, this being the print release. Arifureta, of course, originally released by JNovel Club. This was part of the whole deal that 7Seas was going to publish physical copies of JNovel Club's titles. Something that they will continue the titles that they already have, but I guess JNovel just recently announced at Anime Expo that they're going to publish their own books starting later this year or early in January. In any case, this one is volume number 3 of Arifureta, and of course Arifureta is this sort of revenge OP isekai fantasy series with harem elements and a main character who just don't give a fuh about nothing, and yeah. It's not a bad series, and to be honest though, I finished up to volume number 3. It's one of those series that I'm hoping to get back to because it is fun, and I mean, again, it's kind of enjoyable to watch a main character who is ridiculously OP just kind of revel in his OP-ness. Wow. OP, yeah, I just said that. Wow, maybe I should... Nah, I won't edit that. Hopefully YouTube's things don't come after my channel. Anyway, moving right along, we have volume number 2. Again, this is a print release of a title that's already out in ebook, and that is volume 2 of Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life? This one is actually a 7Seas title. This is the first title that 7Seas has been experimenting with releasing ebook first and then releasing print a couple months later. So they did this with volume 1. Obviously, I guess it's been a success because they're continuing it with volume 2 and with volume 3. I have not read any of this series yet. It is the story about a girl who was a very high achiever while she lived her normal life in Japan, and when she died and met God, she asked God to make her abilities average because, you know, having been a high achiever, there were always demands and high expectations, and she's like, I just want to chill, you know, I just want a normal life where people just expect normal from me. Well, God screws up. I mean, let's face it, that always happens in these isekais, right? Main character makes a really reasonable request, and it just backfires in some kind of ludicrous way. So, in any case, she ends up becoming isekai'd into a fantasy world, and she eventually gets all of her memories back, and, well, it's about her trying to lead a normal life, even though God really screwed up. Also releasing on August 7th, volume number 3 of Monster Girl Doctor. This one's set in an alternate world where mankind and monsters have been at war with each other for a very long time. It's now 10 years after they finally have struck up some kind of a peace accord, and it focuses on this one city that monsters and humans are actually trying to make it work by living and coexisting, and it focuses on a human who has become a specialist in medicine for monsters, and you know, harem and really kind of ishi kind of things ensue because, well, monster girls. I read the first volume of this one. I was meh on it. I'm going to be honest. You know what? There were definitely some points that I thought were kind of decent, but I think my biggest problem with the whole book was that it just didn't know whether it wanted to be this ichi kind of like comedy or whether it wanted to be this more serious actual discussion about politics and about differences and racism and bigotry, and because it had all of that kind of mashed in, and I just felt like the book wasn't really sure which direction it wanted to take. If you've read volume 2 or, you know, you've had any experience with later on in this series, let me know. I mean, does it kind of stay like that? Is that kind of the whole gist of the series? I'm just kind of a little bit curious, to be honest. Finally, on August 7th, and again from 7Seas, we have volume number 2 of Toradora. This one, the slice of life comedy about a boy who has the unfortunate affliction of really nasty looking eyes. Everyone just thinks he's a delinquent because he's got these really sort of evil looking eyes. genetics. Sometimes they just do us no favors. In reality, he's this super good kid, actually. And he comes into contact with the palm top tiger, Taiga, and, well, she has a pretty well-earned reputation of being fairly frightening, but we do kind of get revealed that just maybe there is a reason that she's that way and that there is a vulnerability to this girl. I really, really liked the first volume. I thought it was quite sweet. The relationship that's sort of growing between these two characters, and like the whole story is that they each have a crush on the friend of the other, and so they decide to help each other kind of hook up with the other's friend, and it's cute. I really liked the first volume. I'm actually really looking forward to volume number 2. On August 9th, we have 2 titles coming out. The first one is from 7 Seas, and funny enough, it is the digital release of volume number 3 of Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life? So I literally just talked about this, and so like I said, volume number 3 is getting a digital release before it's getting a print release. And this is it, coming on August 9th. Also on August 9th from JNovel Club, the 3rd and final volume of Me, a Genius? I was reborn into another world and I think they've got the wrong idea. Now, I read the first volume of this. Basically, it's kind of an isekai, but it's a little bit different. So basically, a kid in our world dies and is reborn dozens of years later in the future, and we're not quite sure. Like, the world seems to be a little bit different, so it seems like it's possibly an alt reality or like an alt Earth. You know, it's the first volume's kind of unclear on that whole thing, but in any case, basically what ends up happening is he's got this crazy mom and dad that are in these incredible positions of power. His mom is like a top tier scientist, his dad is like top tier in the military, and essentially, the main character just kind of fumbles out these ideas that his mom makes real and everybody thinks it's him that's exclusively the genius. Or he just kind of accidentally happens to make things occur and looks like a genius even though it was a complete mistake or misunderstanding. It was actually really entertaining, the first volume. I want to pick up volumes 2 and 3 because, again, it's a pretty short series, and the first volume was really entertaining. I'm not too sure if it would be one of those series that the shtick would stay funny for much longer than, like, maybe 3 volumes, so I think the author kind of cut it at the right time. But yes, again, it's a series that I want to pick up the next 2 volumes, because volume number 1 was actually really entertaining. On August 11th, from JNovel Club, volume number 7 of Arifureta. I, again, just literally talked about this series, so I don't really think there's a whole lot to say other than this one obviously is much further ahead than the print releases, and it means I've got far more books to catch up on if I stick with the digital releases. On August 13th, this one also from JNovel Club, volume number 9 of I Saved Too Many Girls and Caused the Apocalypse. This one, a comedy harem series. It's about a boy whose bloodline seems to come with the fate of him, well, just kind of constantly tripping over girls in distress that need to be saved. And it's kind of up to him to figure it out. And he really doesn't have any superpowers or anything. He's just got to kind of figure it out and make it happen. I read the first volume of this. It's funny. It was cute. It did a couple of things that I liked, how it kind of turned a few tropes on their head, and sort of the way that the first volume was laid out was kind of cool and a little bit different. Again, one of those series that just got away from me, honestly. On August 15th, also from JNovel Club, volume number 10 of Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash. This one, the isekai series about a group of individuals who wake up in another world, and the only thing that they can remember is their name. So we're not even sure if they were from that world originally or whether they were from another world. I mean, it's heavily implied that it's an isekai, so I don't think anyone's going to really argue that it's not. But And I mean, again, I've only read the first volume. The one thing that I liked about it was that, and that I thought it did differently than a lot of other isekai type books, is that the characters really had to work for their abilities. And even when they had their first combat, it was sloppy and messy, and because it really showed that these were people that had no skill, that they, you know, like, even if you've learned the abilities to fight, actually being in a situation where your life is on the line and where you have to kill in order to survive is a whole other kind of situation. And I kind of liked the realism that it approached that with. I thought it was kind of cool. And again, it's one of those series that got away from me, and that I kept saying to myself, oh, I want to read more of that. In fact, I got the volume 2 of the print edition on my shelf, staring me in the face, reminding me that I got to get on it, even though even the print release, I think, is up to like volume 7 now. On August 17th, we've got 2 light novels releasing. The first one is from Bookwalker. Now, if you're not familiar with this, Bookwalker has 2 titles that they're currently releasing. The Rio's work is Never Done, and this one, which is volume number 5 of The Combat Baker and Automaton Waitress. Now, this one is a Bookwalker exclusive. You can only buy it from Bookwalker's store in ebook format. Kind of an interesting business model. Supposedly, once a certain amount of time has elapsed, Bookwalker gives up their exclusive rights and is actually returning the English translation to the Japanese publisher to allow the Japanese publisher to do whatever they want with it, whether they release it internationally themselves or whatever. So kind of interesting to see how that's going to pan out. I mean, it's only been, I think, what, maybe a year and a half, 2 years that this has sort of started. So I don't think they've ended the exclusivity for any of these titles yet. So it'll be interesting to see sort of how that goes on down the road. Now, with this one, basically, it's set in an alternative world where there's been years of war, and the main character was an elite soldier who decided to give up killing and wanted to turn his back on death and destruction, and decided to become a baker, because to him the whole idea is that bread sustains. Bread helps to give life and sustain life and to make people happy. And so that was his sort of philosophy in this new life of his. And he ends up becoming aided by a girl, a mysterious girl who is his waitress. And I mean, the title kind of gives away the fact that she's not exactly human. I've read the first volume. It was pretty cool, actually, because of its still incorporating that whole idea of, as much as you can run away from your past, often the past comes back. Often the past will not be ignored. You know, talking still about how, even though a war may be over, there's still a lot of anger and resentment that can last. So dealing with a lot of fairly heavier issues that I think a lot of light novels tend to sort of gloss over. It had a fairly good mix of a little bit of comedy as well as the serious stuff in it. I don't know how it's done in later volumes. I'd be interested to know, just if you've been reading this series, keeping up on it, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Also releasing on August 17th, this one from JNovel Club, and it's a brand new volume number 1, and that is An Archdemon's Dilemma: How to Love Your Slave Elf Bride. Zagan is feared by the masses as an evil sorcerer. Both socially awkward and foul-mouthed, he spends his days studying sorcery while beating down any trespassers within his domain. One day, he's invited to a dark auction, and what he finds there is an elven slave girl of peerless beauty, Nephi. Having fallen in love at first sight, Zagan uses up his entire fortune to purchase her, but being a poor conversationalist, he has no idea how to properly interact with her. Thus, the awkward cohabitation of a sorcerer who has no idea how to convey his love, and his slave who yearns for her master but has no idea how to appeal to him, begins. Now, despite the fact that slavery is sort of an aspect of this, I have heard from a number of people that it is actually a very sweet, almost slice-of-life fantasy type light novel. So I'm looking forward to checking this one out. I kind of like the idea of You know, this guy, it's not, I've heard that even though they call him like an archdemon, it's more of a persona and misrepresentation and stuff. So in any case, I'm interested to see how this one turns out, because again, like I said, I've heard that it's actually kind of cute and sweet despite the uglier undertones of the title. On August 18th, from One Piece Books, we have volume number 12 of The Rising of the Shield Hero. This one about a man named Naofumi. He's a college student. He finds himself isekai'd to another world. He's one of 4 summoned heroes who have been summoned to stop this disaster, the cataclysm that's happening. And the thing is that initially when the book starts off, Naofumi gets treated like dirt, and he is accused of crimes, and he's basically cut off from any kind of support. And he really just kind of has to make it on his own. This series, I've read up to the 7th volume of it. When it started, it was very unlike a lot of the light novels we were getting in English, because we really didn't have the anti-hero main character, like, you know, so much at that time. Naofumi really did sort of subscribe to that belief of, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to survive. And I hate this world so much that I don't care what I have to do. I just do not want to die here. And it made for a far more entertaining read, I thought. Now, volume 12, of course, I believe is now at least an arc away from where I'm currently at in the series. But nonetheless, you know what? It was a series that I really enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to reading some more of it. Particularly, I want to at least finish the one arc that I'm at, which I think is at least another 2 or 3 volumes, so I'll have to check that one out. On August 20th, from JNovel Club, we have volume number 3 of Infinite Stratos. This one, of course, the harem extraordinaire title. We trash on this book a lot, actually, in like the Light Novel podcast and just in general in any kind of chats, because it's involving like the really prototypical clueless male character. The guy that all these girls are like throwing themselves at, and he is constantly not getting it. Like how anyone could be so thick is really a downer on the series, honestly, because it just takes it from being comedy to just being a little bit too much. The whole idea, of course, is that it takes place in this future where this mecha-type armor, the Infinite Stratos, has been created, but only women can pilot it, except for the main character, who finds himself capable, and so he is sent to a school with nothing but girls in order to learn to pilot the unit. And of course, well, one guy in a school full of beautiful girls. What else? Hilarity ensues. Yeah. Anyway, you know what? It wouldn't be a bad series, I think, if it was just... It's just annoying. The main character is just annoying. I'm curious in one hand, like there was an anime of it, and I watched the anime. I'm still curious to read more of the light novels just to kind of see where does the story go. Plus, in Japan, this one is going to be ending very soon. I think it's volume 13 that it's going to end with. So, again, like, the series I know has come to an end, and so I'm kind of curious to see where it goes. But, well, we'll see if I can make room in my schedule for it. On August 21st, we're getting a whole whack ton of yen-on titles. A couple, like a one-shot, one brand new one, and a bunch of really popular ongoing series. First up is the one-shot, and that is Fireworks. Should we see it from the side or the bottom? This one is actually an adaptation of an animated film that came out in Japan. Does a firework look different depending on the angle it's viewed from? Norimichi lives in a quiet seaside town. On the day of the big summer fireworks display, he agrees to visit the town lighthouse with his childhood friends so they can see the fireworks from the side. That evening, however, Norimichi receives a sudden invitation to elope with Nazuna, the girl from class he has a secret crush on. The pair's plans fails when Nazuna's mother shows up and drags her daughter away. Hoping to get Nazuna back, Norimichi makes a wish. If only he could get one more try. A miraculous story of young love awaits at the end of a single day repeated. So I'm going to be honest, until I read the synopsis, I had no idea that this was like a Groundhog Day thing, but I don't know if it repeats constantly or if it's just like one more shot. I'm hoping it's just one more shot because, I don't know, the Groundhog Day thing's just kind of been done, and it's been done well. I'm not saying that it hasn't been done well in other places, but I just don't know if I'm in the mood for a teen romance Groundhog Day, but in any case, if you're familiar with the film or you've read the book in a fan translation or whatever, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below, but again, easy on the spoilers, because I can see I'll either probably see the anime or end up reading this one or the other. Also on August 21st, Yenon has a Volume 1 that's coming out of a new series, and that is called Defeating the Demon Lords a Cinch, if you've got a ringer. 10 years have passed since the demon lord Kronos declared war on mankind. As the situation grows desperate, the Ruksei Kingdom summons a hero from another world to stand against this threat. Assigned by the church to join the hero's party, a battle-worn priest arrives to fulfill his obligations, but is shocked to find that his companions are utterly inept. A mage that can only use fire magic, a swordswoman recently defected from her father's fighting school, and a hero obsessed with women? With an average level totaling only 15, there's no way these novices are up for taking down a demon lord. But a job's a job, so it's up to the man of God, who thankfully has power to spare, to support these buffoons from the shadows. With an extraordinary healer on their side, taking down their target will be a cinch. Hopefully. So this one, of course, kind of interesting. It's an isekai, but the person who's been isekai'd is not the main character. It's actually one of the supporting members that's the main character. This one reminded me a little bit in that way of the magic in this other world is too far behind, which kind of has the same setup, right? I mean, admittedly, the main character gets isekai'd, but he's not the one, he's not the chosen one. He was just kind of brought along by mistake, and yet he's the one with all sorts of OP powers. So this kind of, it has that little bit of a vibe to me, but however, in this one, of course, it sounds like the OP guy is going to hang around with the chosen one and try to make sure that the chosen one doesn't get killed and that they actually manage to survive this whole let's kill a demon lord thing. I'm kind of looking forward to checking this one out. It could be cool. It'll be interesting to see whether it plays it up more for like laughs or whether it plays up more like the serious sort of adventure fantasy side of things. Also on August 21st, we have volume number 14 of Sword Art Online, the continuation of the Alicization arc, which of course is getting an anime starting in October, which again will be very interesting to see how many episodes that ends up being and whether, if it's made 24 or 48, to see just how far ahead of the books it gets. This one actually goes up to volume 18, so there's 4 more books after this one of the Alicization arc. This one, of course, about Kirito being stuck in this new sort of world, and, well, it's kind of too complicated. Either you've read it or you haven't, or you're watching the anime. I will be honest, though, so far the Alicization arc has been one of the stronger arcs of Sword Art Online, but it reads so much more like just a pure fantasy that it doesn't really read like a Sword Art Online book, if that makes any sense. But so far, it's been a pretty good arc. I'm almost caught up. I still have to read volume number 13, which I've got on my shelf, but thankfully it's pretty short, actually, so that shouldn't be too bad. Also on August 21st, we've got volume number 16 of A Certain Magical Index. This one, of course, about the island where all the students go to study magic and how magic has become sort of like a technology. And I've read the first book and I watched the first 2 seasons of the anime. There is a 3rd season coming, which I know has been a long time coming for fans of this series. Bio is telling me he's read all of these books. In fact, he's pretty much caught up even with the sequel series, New Testament. But any case, he tells me that from what he's seen in the trailers, that this 3rd season might actually finish the series. So, but we will see. We will see what happens. But anyway, volume 16 will be released by Yen on August 21st. Also on August 21st from Yen on, we have volume number 7 of the Asterisk War, a high school magic combat battle comedy harem mechi. Yeah. What else? Do I really need to say anything? I don't think I need to say anything else. You know what this is all about. Also on August 21st, we've got volume number 5 of Roka, Braves of the Six Flowers. I still have volumes 3 and 4 to finish reading. Guys, come on. Can't we wait? I really like the first 2 volumes of this series, actually. The very first volume in particular was really cool. Kind of missed, like, creating this tension of the whole traitor in our midst type thing and combining that into a let's hunt down the demon lord. Combine that into, in the first volume, it was like a locked room mystery. It was really cool. It was a very different kind of take on the whole fantasy genre. And volume 2 was, if not quite as clever as volume 1, it was still really well done. So it's a series that I've got to get caught up on, but one that definitely I thought was a very good series. Also on August 21st from Yen on, we've got volume number 2 of I've Been Killing Slimes for 300 Years and Maxed Out My Level. This one about a girl who dies from overwork and wishes in her next life to be immortal so that she never has to worry about time ever again. And so she's reborn as basically a 17-year-old witch, and she lives in a nice little cottage just outside a cute little village and just spends her days killing slimes and making potions and, you know, just relaxing. And till 300 years go by, and 300 years of killing a couple of slimes every single day has turned her into the most powerful being in the entire world. Hilarity ensues. Anyway, basically, a bunch of people, really strong people, want to prove themselves and end up on her doorstep, and it's very slice of life. It's man, I gotta be honest, I loved the first volume. It was just so warm and fuzzy and laid back. It was just a joy to read. Wow, I just felt so chill after finishing that first volume, so I'm actually really excited to check out volume number 2. Also from Yen on, we've got volume number 3 of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. The title really just tells it all. I read the first volume of this one. Kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of taking a look at kingdom building, but from a monster perspective, which is kind of interesting. I do have volume 2 that I wanted to check out because I liked the first volume enough that I wanted to read some more of it. I'm working right now to try and get through my pile. I'm going to end up behind on a couple of series, but at least, you know, I'll only be behind by maybe 1 volume on some of these. Also on August 21st, we've got volume 2 of Reborn as a Vending Machine. I Now Wander the Dungeon. I got to admit, I thought this one would be completely stupid and asinine, and I was really just not looking forward to reading it, and then I read the first volume and I kind of liked it. Yeah, I kind of liked it. It took a very different approach than what I thought it would. It focused a lot on like product management and what products would make sense for people in a fantasy world in a dungeon, and it turned out a lot better than I thought it would, I'll be honest. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what volume 2 does with it. Also from Yen on, we have volume number 11 of The Devil is a Part-Timer. This one is one of my favorite series. I have volume 10. I've got to get through it. On the Light Novel podcast, we actually talked about the first couple of volumes because a lot of us on that cast really like this book. It's just a really good, like, character-driven comedy fantasy adventure series about a devil who comes to our reality to flee away from a hero and ends up having to work part-time at a McDonald's-esque type restaurant in order to survive in our world. It's just a really good series, definitely one to check out. Only 2 more titles from Yenon on August 21st. Oh, Yenon, you're breaking me. Volume number 6, Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World. Isekai, comedy, funny. I love it. I read it. You should too. That's all I'm going to say. And then finally, we have volume number 8 of Bakano. This one, of course, the series by the author of Durarara. This one is sort of a mixture of like gangster crime plus heist crime plus alchemy. And yeah, I only read the first volume. I thought it was pretty cool, but Yenon at the time was only putting these out in hardcover. And yeah, my budget just couldn't take it, to be honest. But I know this has got a huge following and a lot of people really love this series. And like I said, the first volume I thought was really well done. So definitely a decent series to check out if you like more of a period piece. It's actually set in like the 1920s and 30s and 40s and 50s. And it's like, I think it moves by decades. I really don't know enough about that series. But if you know some stuff, hey, let me know in the comments down below. Why do you like the series if you're reading it? On August 28th from Vertical, we have Ohtori Monogatari, the latest in the Monogatari series. This one focusing on Sengoku. She is going to be the narrator of this volume. Apparently she's a bit of a polarizing character in the Monogatari fandom, and this is kind of where that starts. So I'm interested to check this one out because I've really liked the Monogatari series. I've got the last one on my shelf. I'm going to be reading that hopefully in the next week or two. It's the one series I've managed to keep completely up to date on, so I'll be definitely picking this one up on August 28th. On August 30th from JNovel Club, volume number 7 of If It's For My Daughter, I'd Even Defeat a Demon Lord. Now this one, of course, is the series about a adventurer who finds a orphaned demon girl, devil girl. He takes her in, raises her as his daughter, and then some stuff happens and I stopped reading the series. This one, I believe, is short stories set from earlier in the series, but I'm not too sure. I've only read the first 2 volumes of the series. So, when I was reading it, I thought it was a really cute slice of life. Yeah, and then just some stuff apparently happened story-wise that just kind of I disconnected a little bit with. But that's on me. That's on me. I take responsibility for that because that was just my choosing. Finally, on August 31st, The Eccentric Master and the Fake Lover. This one is from Cross Infinite World. You'll die if you stop ingesting bodily fluids from the opposite sex. Yep, that's where this one starts. Nichika's fate has been foretold by a man claiming to be a witch, and it spells doom. What a thing to be told right after tumbling into another dimension. Bodily fluids, in other words, tears, spit, blood, and even, yep, kissing. Side note, we were talking about this on the Light Novel podcast. Kissing is spit, right? Like, I mean, like, how does that... Anyway. With the threat of death snapping at her heels every day, Nichika finds a way to beat the arrogant, selfish, and eccentric witch Oswald at a bet and gets him to take her as his apprentice as a last-ditch measure to stay alive. Now bound to him by magical contract, Nichika joins Oswald and his talking wolf on the run from the witch's council as she tries to find her way back to Earth. Though they're a mismatched master-apprentice duo, they have no choice but to travel across magical lands filled with fantastical creatures to escape the constant danger closing in on them. So that's the multitude of titles that are going to be releasing in the month of August of 2018. Even though I didn't read the blurbs for every single book, this video is still stupid long. I'm just, you know what, I'm going to have to start saying less about these. I'm going to have to try and figure out just one sentence for each one that describes what I feel about it and what the book is about. In any case, which ones have got you excited? Let me know in the comments down below. Again, if you want to pick up any of these titles, I've got links to Amazon as well as the book depository in the description. I also have the release dates listed with those so you can know when they'll be coming out. And of course, if you want to read any of the blurbs of whatever that volume is about, you can just click on those links and read it. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me in this really long video. If you're brand new to the channel and you love light novels, you should subscribe. I do this once a month as well as countdowns, news, reviews of light novels all month long. Thank you very much for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.